Call to order a special meeting for the normal local liquor commission. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
First order of business is the approval of the minutes of the special meeting of July 5th, 2023.
Move approval.
Thank you. Changes or corrections? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The minutes are approved. Next item is a 2023-24 liquor license application for Hacienda Leon 2, doing business as Hacienda Leon, 1 Uptown Circle.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you, and this is for a Class D all liquor license. Questions or discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That license is approved. That concludes our business. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. We are adjourned, and Mr. Leon, I will say that in the audience tonight, that people are anxiously awaiting your opening, so best of luck. Thank you. Now we've got 2 minutes to go.
Tomorrow.
Call order a meeting for the normal town council for September 5th, 2023. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
We have one public comment tonight. That would be Christina Schultz. Christina, we just ask that you state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Schultz. As a John Wesley Powell Audubon Society board member, I'd like to thank the town council for moving forward with plans to invest in the Y intersection adjacent to the Connie Link Amphitheater. The JWP Audubon chapter has been in existence for well over 50 years. Through countless hours of volunteer service, the chapter has gotten thousands of people out into the local parks to learn more about birds and nature in general. Birdwatching is an activity with diverse appeal. It is common for our bird walks to attract 30 to 40 people. The mix of attendees may surprise you, with children as young as 5 through those in their 80s. And we get both longtime residents and new arrivals to our community. Our chapter leads bird walks weekly during spring and fall migration, with several walks occurring at the Town of Normal's Hidden Creek Sanctuary, where the town's park staff have restored the park to a more natural condition, which we'd like to acknowledge with gratitude. Urban green spaces such as Hidden Creek Nature Sanctuary, Branson Park, and the Constitution Trail are critical habitat for migratory birds and year-round resident birds. You may not know this, but birds primarily migrate at night, with the stars and the moon aiding them with navigation. Scientists believe that migrating birds are attracted to urban areas due to the lights, and within an urban area, the best place to land is often a public park. These birds are generally traveling thousands of miles and have to stop for rest and refueling to complete their epic journeys. The planned water feature and native plantings across from the Connie Link Amphitheater will create improved habitat for birds by providing appropriate food sources and a water resource. It will also serve as important habitat for pollinators. The Y intersection is the busiest part of the Constitution Trail, so this improvement will also make nature all the more accessible to community members. We look forward to incorporating this location into future bird walks and events in order to reinforce personal connections to the natural world. In order to support the success of this project, JWP will donate $5,000 toward the planting of native landscaping. We look forward to the continued partnership with the town so we can fulfill our organization's mission to engage and promote activities that foster an understanding and appreciation of our natural world and encourages others to join us in this cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
We move to the omnibus agenda, items considered routine and will be handled with one vote unless the council member would like to pull an item for discussion. Ms. Smith.
Item H as in Herbert.
Ms. Lorenz.
Hello, thank you. Item E is an echo, and I is an igloo, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Items considered under the omnibus agenda for a vote. Approval of minutes of the work session of August 21st, 2023, and approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of August 21st, 2023. A report to receive and file Town of Normal expenditures for payment as of August 30th, 2023. A resolution to accept bids and award a contract to Chismar Landscaping Incorporated for the construction and installation of the Constitution Trail Bird Viewing Water Feature in the amount of $72,500. A resolution to accept a bid and award a contract to Union Roofing Company Incorporated for the Linden Street Barn Metal Roof Retrofit Project at South Linden Park Maintenance Facility in the amount of $93,960. A resolution to waive the formal bid process and accept a quote from Great Lakes Water and Safety Products for the purchase of 4 Kupferle I-Series Genesis intelligence monitoring and flushing devices. I was wondering when we were going to get to that. Resolution waiving the formal bid process and authorizing the purchase of an installation of snowplow equipment for 2 Ford F-550 trucks, and that's from Koenig Body and Equipment Incorporated and an associated budget adjustment. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Ms. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Byers,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy,
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. Those items are approved. Item E is a resolution to accept bids and award a contract to McLean County Asphalt Company for the Constitution Trail repaving project for the segment between North Towanda Avenue and Boulder Drive, and that is in the amount of $71,356 and an associated budget adjustment. Ms. Lorenz.
Second.
Thank you, Ms.
Here's
Lorenz.
my microphone. Thank you. I pulled this item. I support it, but wanted to ask a question about kind of a bigger picture question, something to think about as we, continue to expand our trail miles, and that is to kind of mitigate this single bid situation that we seem to have. in this community on these kinds of projects. Would we ever consider looking into, say, like a cooperative agreement with either the city or the county or both, to try to gain some economies of scales?
Sure, that's a good question. In the future, we certainly can do that. And based on that question, I think next year we'll at least have a conversation with both the city and the county to explore what they've budgeted for trail resurfacing and trail improvements, and perhaps there's a way to partner and issue a joint bid for bidding purposes, see if we can get better numbers or multiple bidders. In recent experience, we typically have one bid for this kind of work, but we were able a couple years ago to get a second bid from Epple out of, I think, the Pontiac area. I don't know why we had only one bid in this instance, but moving forward, we can at least explore it and see if, what the county and city ordinarily do for their trail resurfacing.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ms. Smith?
I understand that on this particular item, that some of the adjustments for access to the trail were being separated from the repaving contract. Can you describe the thought process behind that choice?
Sure. In the interest of trying to minimize the budget adjustment that was required to do all the work, the original bid documents included sidewalk and curb ramps for the sidewalk. So that work, we actually ended up withdrawing from this contract, or recommending it be withdrawn. And we will instead use J.G. Stewart for the work. The town currently has a contract with J.G. Stewart for sidewalk repair and ADA ramp installation. And they are able to perform sidewalk repair and ADA ramp work for us in this Towanda Avenue to Boulder Drive location for a cheaper price.
Don't think your microphone's
Well,
on.
in terms of whether or not it's included, the work for J.G. Stewart to do is included in the J.D. Stewart contract. We would likely have to do a change order, but we can process that administratively.
Thank you.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That item is approved. Item H is the resolution to accept bids and authorize a contract with Hare Construction Incorporated for the 2023 sanitary sewer lining contract in the amount of $1,096,964. Ms. Smith?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smith?
I had requested some background on this, because I understand, and I believe it was in the packet, background information. This is part of an ongoing upgrade to our sewer system, and had requested the status of where this contract would put us in completion, either in miles or percentage basis.
I will address that. Miles actually sounds a little bit better than percentage basis, frankly. We have a lot of sewer mains out there. So we have been doing sewer lining for a number of years. We had 4 bids this time. What we're asking council to approve is a contract to line 25,000 lineal feet of sewer mains. And that's quite a big distance. It's all over town. We've picked certain locations. In the course of the years where we've been performing sewer lining, we have covered 12 miles. With this contract, we will have covered 12 miles of our sewer mains, which sounds great, and it is progress. We've only got 92% or so left to go.
And you're evaluating which sewer mains to tackle based on the camera system that
Correct.
is in place to determine the state of either decay or sound structure of the sewer.
Absolutely. In terms of our sewer televising contract and the work that's been done in the past, that's how we are prioritizing the work.
Thanks for fleshing that out for me.
I'm just gonna let that pause and think. Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, that item is approved. Item I is a resolution amending the employment agreement of the municipal manager, Pamela S. Reese.
So moved?
Thank you.
Second.
Ms. Lorenz.
Thank you. So I don't want to delve into this because this is a matter of personnel and we do handle this in executive session. I just want to give context to my vote tonight, as I've thought very seriously about this. I am going to be taking a courageous step and voting no. I don't think this comes as a surprise to any of my colleagues. We've talked about this at a recent executive session, and I've talked several times with the mayor, and earlier today, actually, with Ms. Reese, we were able to sit down and visit. So I think everybody understands my reasoning, being that it's a matter of personnel. I want to leave it just at that, but I wanted to give some context.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
No.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The resolution is approved. That concludes our omnibus. We have one item of general orders, a resolution to approve a design-build contract with Core Construction Services of Illinois Incorporated, and that is for the construction of Fire Station, is that number 2?
Correct.
Number 2.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. McCarthy, we'll go right to you since you were.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have a lot to say, but looking back, I pulled out the original materials when we first started talking about this. It's been a decade. Can't believe it, since we first started planning, moving our fire stations around rather than building a fourth, and staffing and the significant extra expense to taxpayers for 25, 30, 40, 50 years. And we decided to go with this route. It's great to see that we're finally coming to the point of proving this part of the process. One question, it was the material packet information was great and delineating the 3 phases for us, so that was very, very helpful. Two parts. First question, phase 1 looks like that's the opportunity for public input. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about what that looks like? Listening sessions, questionnaires, that kind of thing.
Sure.
I'm assuming that's the opportunity in this process for public input.
Correct. We haven't forgotten that this project is adjacent to a current subdivision, a neighborhood that we want to be good neighbors. I'm sure they want to be good neighbors to us as well, and we hit the ground running in terms of our relationship. This, as we've told council in the past, the fire station is where shifts of firefighters live. This is their home away from home, so we do intend to be good neighbors. In terms of our planning for design of the project, initially we will be having communications with the Blackstone Trails neighborhood to hear from them on what concerns they may have, what interests them about the fire station, so we can incorporate what we're hearing into our design schemes. And then I envision that as we move along with design, we will plan some sort of public open house similar to what we do for other roadway projects and trail projects and other kind of major community investments, just for people to take a look and react to what we've proposed. We won't be designing by committee. Not everyone can have input on what the final product is going to look like, but we do want to hear specific concerns so we can try to address things early on.
Excellent. You hit both of my questions in one answer. Thanks.
Ms. Lorenz.
I'll just tag on to that. Thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for bringing that up. That was a concern of mine too. I think several of us here remember a lot of the neighbor interest in this particular project. So one more follow-up question to your answer, Ms. Reese. Any idea of like time frame? Will it be like this fall or the winter? What, and exactly like how will they be reached out to? You know, what can the neighbors expect in terms of notice and communication?
The one thing I do know in terms of if council approves the contract tonight, presume that you will, We will then turn right around and the communications team is ready to send out a postcard to our Blackstone Trails neighbors to allow them an opportunity to complete a survey, again, sharing with us any concerns that they might have about a fire station, what interests them about a fire station in their neighborhood. And I would predict that we're gonna give them a reasonable time to respond. And so that's the first item that will be coming right out the door, probably tomorrow or the next day, hitting the US Postal Service. Then moving forward, I cannot indicate what a timeline would be for any kind of public
Okay.
open house on a proposed design. But we'll keep council in the loop of where we're at with our design process and, we want to keep the ball running. The contract includes a time frame for the project to be complete. We want to not be a holdup in this process. Keep everything moving forward.
That answers my question. And just to clarify, the neighbors just to the east, is that considered Blackstone Trails? They're on Shepherd, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
they can anticipate a postcard.
Mhm.
Okay.
Both along Shepherd and
And
along
Hershey.
Hershey, and
Okay.
then the Blackstone Trails, single-family neighborhood.
Good. Thank you very much.
Further on this item, Ms. Smith.
The document references town representative in multiple places. Could you please clarify who will be, or multiple people that will be filling that role in oversight of this project?
Right. Like other projects, the most recent one being Headquarters Fire Station, it's really a town team on these major projects like that. The town's lead person is going to be Chief McHumer, who will work with the team, as well as Director of Facilities and Energy Management, Mark Clinch. And then, of course, it's definitely a team effort in terms of the subject matter experts. Building Inspections Department, Finance, we have grant management as we move forward, so everyone's gonna play a part.
I believe that's all I had. Thank you.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That resolution is approved. We have one item of new business. That is a motion to approve appointments to the Bloomington Normal Asayakawa Sister Cities Committee.
Move approval?
Second?
Thank you. And our appointees are Mr. Eric Sweetwood and Mr. Noah Davison. Please call, Mr. Preston, yes.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick question. I believe at a recent meeting, there were a number of appointments for different boards and commissions, and just wanted to ask that, the individual brought to us tonight that was not, the other time, is this the same appointment, or has there been a change in the, personnel from what was originally on our meeting, but then not?
This is the same appointment. Mr. McCarthy, if you want to read that before we take the vote first. Let's have that vote. Please call the roll.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. Those appointments are approved, and Mr. McCarthy, if you would give us the background on
Absolutely.
our new appointees.
Happy to. Mr. Eric Sweetwood will fill a vacancy on the Sister Cities Committee. He's a retired secondary school educator. He was an English and social science educator at Pontiac Township High School for nearly 34 years. He looks forward to serving the community in his role with the Sister Cities Committee. His background, he also has a master's in science and history from right here at Illinois State University. And he and his wife Jennifer reside here in Normal. His term will expire on March 31st of 2026. Mr. Noah Davison will also fill a vacancy on the Sister Cities Committee. He's currently a student at right here at ISU, and but's previously traveled to Asayakawa, Japan as part of his 2-week high school exchange program. He's looking forward to furthering his interest in the Japanese language and society and giving back to the program that he's enjoyed participating in. His term will also expire on March 31st of 2026.
And Mr. Davison was light on his resume. He also spent a semester abroad in Japan doing college courses. That concludes. We have one public comment tonight from Mr. Ron Ulmer.
Thank you. My name is Ron Ulmer. I'm here today to talk about, you ban natural gas from the Uptown South development for reasons of air pollution, I assume mainly. But Normal could reduce pollution and CO2 emissions tremendously. I was reading that one of the main causes of CO2 pollution and all is the manufacturing of concrete and cement. By not maintaining the roads through waterproofing and sealing cracks, you use a lot more cement through the years than if you maintain the roads, plus the damage to vehicles. And I've shown you pictures of concrete popping out and all that. But anyway, and currently, if you've noticed the grinding on East College Avenue, and you drive your car through there, the dust is also a terrible pollutant, concrete dust. Imagine if the roads were maintained up to best practice standards, how much less pollution there'd be. Normal desired to reduce vehicle pollution. We certainly wouldn't have major construction on College Avenue when the students return. How much longer are the traffic jams? How many more hours do cars idle and produce pollution? I would think that the project could have started right after school was out, working with the contractor, maybe giving them an incentive, and have it done by the time the students return. Having College one lane when the students are trying to return to campus. Same with Main Street, but to a lesser degree. The water main installation when the students were returning. How many hours do you think cars idled extra, their motors operating inefficiently and polluting? A lot more than that little bit of natural gas saving is going to do in Uptown South. One other thing. I just returned from Europe, and I noticed on a road in Holland, and I've thought of this for a long time, there are speed limit signs on each lane. Now, the lights are pretty well timed from South Bloomington to Virginia Normal. If you go 30 miles an hour, you'll make most of them. There's always 4 or 5 idiots that speed ahead and slam on the brakes at every one. However, Virginia is such that if you go 30 miles an hour, about half of the cars that made the last light in Bloomington have to stop. There's no northbound or anything else there. And then again, it's not in time with the intersection with with Beaufort and the other street as it continues on west, Hovey. So there could be some very simple things that would greatly reduce pollution in this country that other countries use. I mentioned the fact that lights, in Europe, lights aren't on bright sunny days next to banks and windows in airports and public facilities. We insist on running those lights every day. There could be, even for interior lights, a photo cell. I mean, it's absolutely silly. The best way to save electricity or energy and not pollute is by not using it. One last thing that bugs me about my water bill from the town of Normal. I actually get 2 bills. One is for storm water on a vacant lot for $460 every month. Both my house water bill and that bill are taken out of my bank account every time automatically, but yet I receive 2 return envelopes. NICO or Ameren, sometime in the recent past, even included on the bill statement, we are no longer rescinding return.
Can you
return.
wrap up, Mr. Ulmer? You've
Yes.
well exceeded your time.
Okay, one last sentence. They said we no longer send return envelopes, mail you return envelopes when your payment is automatically deducted. Paper pollution, waste pollution. Thank you.
Before a motion for adjournment, are there council concerns or comments? Mr. McCarthy?
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick shout out. Want to say congratulations and thank you to Cultural Arts and all the staff and departments who had a hand in making the Sweet Corn Circus an overwhelming success. I had the opportunity to be there on Sunday and see a little bit of the Gamma Phi Circus and mingle about the street. It seemed very, very busy. And I saw the news reports that our attendance was very high. Also, some of the groups that were out there helped supporting the event shared that they interacted a lot more with people from the surrounding communities, Peoria and Champaign and other communities. We seem to see, or at least reports from some of the agencies out on the streets, that we're seeing a higher attraction rate to Uptown Normal. So appreciate staff for putting on such a great quality of life amenity and a really unique event here in our community. Thanks.
Other comments or concerns? Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Ms. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Byers.
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.